With this week's build, I've been challenged to make something I wouldn't normally make, with materials I wouldn't normally use. And the reason for that is a New Year's resolution. You see, ladies, gentlemen, and all variations thereupon, I have, as many sewies do, an overflowing fabric stash. And this year, one of my resolutions is going to be to try and work through that and whittle it down a little bit so I don't have this massive fabric just sitting around not doing anything for projects I may actually never start. So rather than buying any new fabrics for as little as I can, I'm going to use what I've already got. One of the fabrics I have is this golden sort of, it's a sheer polyester. It's not a fabric that I would normally want to work with. The reason I have it is I brought myself one of those boxes which it works out to £1 a metre, which you should never buy because they're all plastic polyester stuff. A lot of it looks nice, but you know, it's not great for the environment. They're made from hydrocarbons and they're going to stick around in the environment for an indefinite period of time. And because those £1 a metre boxes send you things that, you know, wouldn't normally buy myself, you don't know what's coming, it means that I've got to try and think of a project that I was not planning on making in order to try and use this up and not have it just go to waste, because better that it's actually used in a project than just sits around doing nothing. So what I've planned to do is create a sort of outerwear garment. I don't know what would you call it. It's like not a poncho, not a coat, so halfway in between. I seen an image of it on Pinterest and for the life of me I can't find where it originally came from. I've tried following links and searching and things like that, and it's leading me to old blogs that are no longer used and things, and I can't find the original source anyway. So if you do recognise this and know the original source, then do let me know and I'll link it in the description. But regardless of the inspiration for it, I don't have any pattern for it, so I'm going to have to be working this all out as I go along, and I think I have an idea of how to use it, how to build this, and hopefully it should be relatively easy. I'm hoping to get this done in a day, although actually now it's more like half a day because I procrastinated this morning. So let's just jump into this. First thing I'm going to do is fold this in half and then half again, because the back and the front are the same shape and the two sides are going to be symmetrical. So I need to fold it into quarters to do the initial cut. The top section is just going to be flat across the shoulders, so I need to know my shoulder width measurement, and I'm going to half that because it's folded in half. And then from that point of the edge of my shoulder, I'm then going to cut down at an angle. I'm not entirely certain what angle, but I'm going to go for roughly 2/3 of the way up the fabric is going to be where I exit the fabric, so whatever angle that it would be. Now with the angled sides cut, the next step is going to be to create the head hole. Because of the way this is going to open at the front, strictly speaking I don't need a proper full head hole, only a small slit with enough width in order to fit my head through it. I will however make the front come a little bit further forward, so further down the front of the garment than the back, because just that asymmetry then makes it sit more firmly against the back of my neck and hang down a little bit towards the front, and the front then can just hang open a little bit more, and there's no reason for that other than aesthetics. Okay, so I've pinned up the sides now, down this one arm, across the shoulder, across this shoulder, down this arm and up this one side. I've also cut a small hole where the two sides were still joined together at the side so I can get my hand through. And this is roughly what it's going to look like. It's not going to be a heavy coat or anything. It's going to be a fairly light sort of spring summer outerwear when there's a slight chill in the air that warrants putting something on the outside. So the idea is I'm going to have something that ties up around the waist there to try and create some sort of drapery and folding there, but because these are cut on an angle, I don't have very much at the side. I've got a sort of a wing effect at the minute, but that's because it's not tied up at the side there. So that's going to be roughly how it looks. What I need to do now is just to run this through the sewing machine, which I'm not looking forward to because this is very slippy. This is what it's like when you've turned it inside out. It does have a bit of a sci-fi alien sort of look to it, sort of like a wrongling, very cornered shoulders, but that can be fixed simply by poking the corners back in, making it more of a rounded shape and putting another stitch on the inside, so that basically you create darts for the shoulders. But now that I actually see on and through the camera's viewfinder, I'm getting a very Lando Calrissian kind of feel for this sort of a cloak that he might wear, because it's very shiny and golden. Now the next step is going to be how to fasten this together. I do have this length of ribbon, which you may recognise from my Minoan outfit that I made, and what we're going to do with this is just take a length that's wide enough to wrap around my waist, that sort of length. So if I were to just cut off about there. So then what we want to do is take this ribbon and attach it to the back, right around where my waist is at the narrowest, right in the centre. Then these two ends will be fed through the outside of the front. They're going to be fed through around about the waist sort of area, but they're going to sit slightly out from where my waist actually is, so that when I tie it up, we end up with a little bit of drapery and overlap as things get pulled in tighter. Now, in order to make sure that they don't fray along the edges, I'm going to have to do them like buttonholes, but this is 4 centimetres wide, so I'm not entirely certain that my normal buttonhole techniques are going to work for this because it's a bit wide, but I'll give it a go anyway. And so once that's threaded through, this is what we've got. It looks a lot better when I've got my arms down or folded across the front. It's kind of like a very space age futuristic thing at that point. If I raise my arm so it opens up at the front, so I've got sort of a weird flasher motif going on, and it doesn't quite gather the way I thought it would, which I don't know why I thought it would, because these just overlap more if I put it in tighter, which I suppose will help prevent a draft, but because this is such a thin material anyway, it's not going to keep me that warm. So only thing left to do now is to hem up the edges. I don't actually need to hem the bottom because it was one sheet of fabric, so this bottom edge down here has already got the that's like the salvage edge, I think you call it, where it's it was finished anyway from the factory, so I don't need to worry about hemming that, nor the internal seams of the shoulders. They're not going to fray and come away. It's only the handholds, the seam down this side and around the neck, and obviously down the front as well. I am debating whether to put some more of this tape down the front just to give that a little bit more detail, but I think it might be too much if I carried that sort of pattern down the front seam. Though now that I'm seeing this put together, it's less Lando Calrissian now and more Princess Leia bathrobe maybe. But anyway, let's just get the hemming done. Now I must confess, I have absolutely no idea what exactly I've just made. It seems to be a cross between some sort of sci-fi bathrobe and a Edwardian loungewear. It's something that I don't have a good way of categorising, but it has a very pre-Raphaelite feel to it and still has a sci-fi element as well with its shininess. If this was silk, I would say it was luxurious, but unfortunately it is just a polyester that just looks fancy. So this isn't going to be the most hard-wearing and, you know, best sort of loungewear that I could imagine. I wasn't originally intending it for it to be outerwear, but it seems like it is more loungewear sort of material. So maybe in the summer, once it's hot, this would do as some sort of bathrobe or something, I don't know. If you've got a good idea for how to use this, then let me know in the comments. So while I sit back and enjoy my orange juice and my new robe thing, if you click up here, you can enjoy a video of mine. And this one down here is the one that the algorithm has picked out just for you, so you know you're going to enjoy it. And if you click this cartoon head round here somewhere, then you can subscribe. I always have trouble saying that, but then you'll never miss a video. Till next time.